Hi folks, how are you doing? So my name is James Nortridge, and this is the follow-up session that we had discussed on the NBSS training session that we held here in DCU on the 4th of November. So hopefully you've taken something from it, had an opportunity, I guess, to look through some of the assistive technology that we looked at during the day, and I guess just put it into action, because I think that's probably the most important thing. We have a few people that have already logged on, and I know that there was a handful of people that signed up to partake in the event. I think the most important thing that you'll get from this is even recording the session. We got some good feedback in terms of what people wanted to cover and what people wanted to go through. So what I'd like to do is just to have a quick, I guess, run through some of the pieces that we covered on the 4th. My plan is that you won't be here for too long. I appreciate, for those of you that are here live, thank you very much, that you've had a long day in school. And this is probably an addition to your day. So what I will do is I'll keep this short and to the point. I will cover some of the particular feedback that we got from people and add up additional resources, and I'll pass those on to the team in NBSS as well. Okay, so to start off, if there are any questions from the participants that are online, I see there's 5 or 6 people online, feel more than welcome to pop something into the chat and we can go through it. To give you kind of an insight into what people were looking to get covered and some of the queries that came up, there was 2 or 3 people looking around the apps really, and I think the tablet element of the session seemed to be the one that came up mostly. So in terms of some of the apps that people wanted me to recap on, those being the scan pen, if you remember that. People are looking for Claro PDF to be reviewed, and there was quite a number of comments in terms of Ginger and Book Creator, more so that they were working quite well in schools. So I think that's a good thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap on Claro PDF, I'm going to recap on Scan Pen, and I'm also going to look at 1 or 2 other pieces in terms of the general settings of the iPad. I'm also then just going to briefly show people how to turn on the built-in voice recognition, because that came up a few times. And we had 1 or 2 queries here as well on how to build profiles using Dragon Naturally Speaking. So how to build those individual profiles. So I'll just do a quick little run through that, and I'll send out some links and information on it too. The other thing I think that's quite interesting from the feedback that people gave us prior to this session is that it seems to be working in some instances. So there was a few people that undoubtedly have taken it on board and have started to implement it. And I mean, the key thing from the session that we did here in DCU was that if you only took 1 or 2 key parts and that made a difference to your teaching or to some of the students that you potentially deal with, then I think that is a success. And I think we're days like the 4th of November are very much about just introducing you to assistive technology and how it can be of benefit to students in the group. And you'll often have the situation where students will become disengaged, and really it's a lot of it comes down to literacy levels and the ability of those individuals to engage with the curriculum. And I think that's where technology adds its greatest value insofar as it has the potential to become a tool to engage kids back into the curriculum again. Okay, so I think that's enough of me harping on here to start. Again, I appreciate all the questions that have come in and a few questions that have been posted. This video has also been recorded, so you'll be glad to hear that you'll be able to listen back to these few sessions if you've any if you want to recap on anything. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to flick over onto my iPad. So first I'll flick onto the iPad and just show 1 or 2 things. I'd like to start off by looking at I think probably the most useful one for the session here would be the scan pen element. So I'm just going to utilize the scan pen for a few seconds to get that set up. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. Now, if anybody's having an issue or a problem seeing that screen, you might just pop it in the chat there. I hope that you can all now see my iPad, and that's moving around the place a little bit. So if any of the people that are online there, if you've got any questions around that, or if it's not maybe displaying correctly, just give me a quick chat. If not, I'm going to power on and have a look at ScanPen. So ScanPen is one that we looked at last week. So, or sorry, in our session. So how ScanPen works is we take a picture of a piece of material, which I'm going to do now. So I just have a simple piece of text here that I can take a picture of. So we just hover over the image, take a quick picture, and then that picture can read back to the individual. So you'll see there now, I just took a very simple snap of something. It took me no more than 5-10 seconds. Now all I do here is I select each word and it'll read it back. Okay, so I'm going to turn up my volume here. I'm going to change 1 or 2 settings. So on the top right, if I go back, on the top right you see the little icon. If I press on that, it allows me to change the speaking rate, and it also allows me to change whether or not we want to get things read back in sentence or in word format. And I think for most students, by sentence or by lines is probably best. So again, all I need to do here to get a little piece of text read back is swipe my finger down over it. So you'll see there, this section enables the foundation of fact. So if I want to get that particular sentence read back, all I'll do is just scan my finger over it.
This is the foundation of fact. The starting point is I do not know, but let me see what the facts are.
Okay.
3. My investigation of the facts.
So can people still see that screen? Okay, I think that still seems to be working. So in terms of ScanPen, it's probably one of the more simple pieces of technology. I think to buy it, it's probably in the region of $3.99. So quite a cheap app for students, and it is one of those students that kind of are one of those apps that enables students to engage very easily with the curriculum. And another app that I'm going to move on to looking at is ScanType. Okay, so this was another one that we had a query around. Okay. Sorry, my apologies. SnapType. Okay, so again, I'm sure people can see the screen. If you can't, just give me a quick shout. What I'm going to do with SnapType is just show you how students can engage and work with worksheets. So worksheets are often a complication for students, and it's something that comes up quite a lot. They may have dyspraxia, so therefore they have poor handwriting. They may have spelling mightn't be so good. They may struggle as well, obviously, to read it back. So there's where we would use something like ScanPen to get the session or the worksheet read back. So all we do here is just click on New Document, hit Camera. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of this particular piece here. Okay, so let's just if this was a worksheet that someone had to do. Okay. So I'm happy with that. I'll add a quick test name, and that is test. Click add. So what this is going to do is it's going to add a new document there so we can see it, James test. So when I click into it, I can see, this is exactly as it was. Now, if I wanted to add in a comment, if I wanted to add in a field, so besides the student being given a worksheet, they're still given the handout worksheet, but with their device or tablet, doesn't have to be an iPad. They can take a quick snap of it and they can type in the text. Okay, so if I need to write something next to the document, I just tap on it, and then I just write my answer here. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I've just written in the answer there, but however, the text is a little bit large in comparison to the text, and it's also a little bit offline. So I can tap on that. So just by tapping my finger on it, and I can move it around. Okay, so people see that? So if I want to pop that down here, perfect. However, the size of text is still a little bit large. So I can just decrease the size at the top. Okay, so that probably looks about right. Now I can move it around once more, just with my finger by tapping on the letters and moving them around. Okay. So if I'm happy with that, I go top left and I hit save. Now I can tap back into it and the text remains. But if I want to save this, and if maybe someone wanted to get it printed off, on the top right of the iPad, you'll see the export button. So now I'm going to hit image. And now I can just save image. So if I tap back out to my photos, I can see the document that I wrote on. So people should be able to see this is where I wrote. And you'll see as well, it doesn't contain the yellow background writing. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump back onto my laptop. Okay, so I'm going to just jump back onto the laptop and move between the laptop and the iPad a little bit. So I'll come back to the iPad in a few moments. What we did look at the last time was Natural Reader. So Natural Reader is a really useful one. It's something that I think all schools and all students that struggle a little bit with reading could use quite well. It comes as a free download. So if you remember on the day we had USB sticks that were going around, and all you had to do with the USB stick was plug it in and install the software. So what I'd like to do is have a quick little look at it once more and just investigate whether or not people have been using it. So let's have a little look here. I'm just going to share my screen once more. And I'm going to share. Okay. So people can see that screen that I'm currently working off of. So you'll see that it's literally just brought up. It's pretty much just brought up my. There you go. So it's just brought up Natural Reader 14. And you'll see here that I've got 4 documents at the moment that I have used. If I wanted to get another document read, I just click on Add New. And it asks me whether I want to open an existing Word or PDF document or to create a new one. As well as that, you'll see here towards the bottom, it's got the option for OCR. So that's Optimal Character Recognition. And to use OCR within Natural Reader, you do need to have the license. A particular license probably costs in the region of maybe, I think it's $70. However, we can use the free version to open documents and get them read back. So let's select a Word document here. There's a particular document that I will grab. Let's see here. Fair feedback, that'll do. So this so happens to be some information on tablet courses that I was running. So again, I just come in here, click anywhere, hit the play button.
Title: Teaching for the Digital Age with Tablets. Wording for page 1. Tablets are radically transforming.
Okay. So that's UK Emily speaking a little bit quick. So we can turn the pace down a little bit. If we brought that to -3 and try it once more.
Teaching and learning, developing new possibilities for personalized and group learning.
Okay, well that's a little bit better, I think. So you can change some of the speaker names, or sorry, speaker voices. I guess we're probably lacking a little bit. Now it does have an Irish voice there, just because I have it installed. Let's give it a try.
Accessibility features of tablets and the...
Okay, so we're getting a small bit better.
Accessibility features of tablets and the array of apps available can empower educators to have inclusive...
Okay, so that's Natural Reader, and it's a really simple one, and what it does quite effectively is just read back to the individuals. And I think that's what you're going to find most useful. Okay, so let's close that one down, and let's have a look. So some of the other feedback that we got at the start of the session was how to use Dragon and how to set up a profile and how to ensure that profile works and how to build that profile around a particular student. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to open up Dragon Naturally Speaking and give people the works. If you remember from the session we had here, I was using Dragon Naturally Speaking 13. I was also using a headset, which I'm just unraveling at this present moment. So I was using a headset which looks a little like this. So just a little like this, quite a simple headset. The most important thing with the headsets that you use, either with the built-in voice recognition software or with the Dragon Naturally Speaking, is that they're USB enabled, and that's probably the most important part of using Dragon Naturally Speaking. The other one that I use here myself, I'm just going to plug this into the tablet. Okay, so that's the headset enabled. Okay, so the other one I use quite a lot is in the office here, especially, is this this little Bluetooth piece, which works very well. And this would be one that would be used quite a lot in offices, or we would use it with Leaving Cert students that might be sitting exams. So we have a number of students that are sitting exams this year. So I would use just a small little USB. So it plugs in via USB into my computer, and then it works off of Bluetooth. So again, quite a useful little piece of tech, but not necessary for our students, unfortunately. So what I will do now is I will set this up. So I will just turn on my Dragon. Okay. So it just asks me as I set up here which piece of software, which headsets are you going to use, and as you'll see, I'm going to use the USB version. Just takes a few seconds to load. So if there are any questions from the people that are online at the moment, you're more than welcome to pop a few of those questions up. And just as we're waiting for it to go live, what I might do is I might just share with you. If you remember on the day, we took some information in terms of the typical type of student that you might deal with on a daily basis. And what I've done is Sarah here in the office has pulled together quite well all the post-its that people wrote on, and we brought all that together in a particular a word cloud. So I'm going to send that out as well to the group. But what I might just do while we're just waiting there for that to load is I might just share my screen in terms of the this was pretty much what we drew on the day. So if you remember, Adam was 14 years of age. He most typically was potentially from a lone parent background, poorly supported, had some low confidence issues. However, it was quite conflicting because even though he had low confidence, he was good at sport. He was, potentially, I thought there was a few other ones that were down here. That he was well liked by peers and always seeked attention. And some typical stuff came up here. I think we had 29 people that filled in that post-it exercise, and a lot of these words kept reoccurring. So I think it was quite interesting for me to look at the areas. You'll see that I've kind of marked off a few key areas here. Low literacy, difficulty reading, poor handwriting skills, disorganized computers, he is interested in them. So I think it paints a sort of a profile that's quite interesting, and a profile that I'd be interested in potentially using technology to tap into. So I'm going to send this out as well to people. So I'll just stop that and I'll jump back to you. All right. So again, we're about 20 minutes in. I don't want to keep people for too long. So what I would like to do is from here is to just look at Dragon Naturally Speaking, and then maybe pick up on a few more of the questions that have been popped up, and make sure we cover off everything in terms of the iPad as well. So let's have one look at Dragon Naturally Speaking. So for this, I'm just going to pop on the headset, if you don't mind. All right, let's go. So I'm just going to share my Dragon Naturally Speaking bar with you now. Okay. So people might just give me a quick indication whether or not you can see Dragon Naturally Speaking appear on the screen. It's somewhat problematic for me just to be able to see whether people can engage it or not. If you can, just pop it into the chat there and just let me know. If not, don't worry, we can easily get around this. And I can come back to it and send out some information in terms of setting up a profile. I guess most importantly, in terms of setting up and enabling students to use their Dragon Naturally Speaking profile, the key thing is practice. It's like anything else. We work with a number of schools in terms of using voice recognition, and more you will see, undoubtedly, schools will start to move towards this for students that have a lot of learning difficulties and students that will be using voice recognition for their Leaving Cert. And that is definitely the future in the next year or two. We're working with 3 or 4 schools this coming exam year that are going to be using Dragon in their Leaving Cert in terms of using voice recognition instead of a scribe. And really, if you think about it, it's far more empowering for the individual that when they go on to university, they can use something like voice recognition. And that's just part of it, because when they step into that university setting, or any further college of education, or any job situation, being able to use voice recognition to get their texts on, is going to make a big difference. Okay, so there was 1 or 2 other queries that came in, and I really would like to touch on those right now. Okay, so I'm going to just jump back onto my iPad, if that's all right. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen once more, and I'm going to jump back onto my iPad. For those of you that are interested, what I'm doing in terms of sharing my iPad screen, so you can see I have my iPad with my Bluetooth connection, perfect. But to enable me to share that screen with you via this kind of webcast, what I'm doing is I'm using a piece of software that's called Reflector. So I'll send this out in a few links to you as well. Reflector works very similar to Apple TV, but it allows us to share and for me to mirror. So what I'm doing is I'm turning on my iPad, and when I go to use a thing that's called AirPlay, when I go to use AirPlay, it pushes my screen onto my PC screen. So I'm also using so obviously I'm using my iPad here. Is that coming through? But on the webcast here, I'm actually using Adele. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flick that on. So I click on AirPlay. I click on my laptop. And my laptop appears. Okay. All right. Just give me 2 seconds here while if we have any questions actually there from the few people that are on board, please feel free to pop it in. I see there we have 5 or 6 people that are currently online. So please just pop anything into the chat there. I'm just going to get my iPad hooked up. And as always with technology, it's a little bit slow. Okay. All right. So we've got it. We've got it. It's always a problem when you're using technology. Okay. So I'm just going to share the screen. So I think people should be able to see that iPad screen. Again, let me know if you can't. So what I'd like to just briefly touch on here, and this is some of the more simple stuff that we looked at back in DCU in November, and that being the speak back function, and that being built-in voice recognition, and the easy reader. And these are pieces that are on both iPad, they're on Android, and of course, the vast majority of smartphones. So let's press on settings. So we open up settings, and then I go into accessibility. I go into general, and I go into accessibility. Okay, so within here we have a number of options, but what we're going to predominantly focus on is under speech. And here you can see at the very top we have speak selection. So I have speak selection turned on. If you're using an iPad at the moment, or if you have one close to hand, please just pop it on. What that'll allow you to do is when you're in an app or you're in a piece of text, you can just double tap on the piece of text and have it read back. So here's where I would control my speaking rate.
Speak selection reads selected content.
Okay. I can also change the voices. So you can see here there's quite a lot of voices available, but under English, I've selected Moira, which is the main Irish voice. So now what I'm going to do is if you see here we have the home button. If I tap on the home button, it brings me back to the home screen. And from here, I'm just going to pop into something like notes. Okay, and I just want to create a new note. So there's lots of different things I could click on there and just pop into my note. What I want to do is just to show you the built-in voice recognition. And to do that, I just need to turn off my keyboard. Okay, so now you can see my keyboard has just appeared. And if I just flicking up a few different keyboards. All right, so we're back to an English keyboard. So if I press on the microphone on the bottom left, today we're having a webinar session on so there's something dramatically not very right with that. Okay, so it was using my French keyboard, so you can see that it wasn't putting out making much sense. Today we're having a webinar session on assistive technology to see how teachers might use it more and empower students to become more independent learners. Exclamation mark, new line. Allowing students to use technology can have them engaged in the curriculum a little bit more, ... All right, so I've made a few little mistakes here and there, but nothing too bad. If I tap on them, it'll probably allow me to fix them. But just very briefly, if I double tap on the whole section and select all, and if I hit the word speak, you can see speak there, just to the right of, just to the left of share and to the right of the bold, italics, and underline.
Today we are having a webinar session on
Okay.
assistive technology. See how teachers might use it more and empower our students to become more independent learners. Allowing students to use technology can have them engaged in a more.
Okay, so that's quite a simple kind of step in terms of how we could use speakback, in terms of how we could use voice recognition. So if you remember on the day we used Easy Reader. So I'm just going to open up something like, so I'm just opening Safari on the bottom left there. So I'm just going to open up Safari, and I'm going to possibly look at the, let's look at the Irish Times. Okay, so this is just a piece of text here. So do you see at the very top here, we've got these 3 or 4 little lines just on the URL bar, and that denotes that there is an easy read version of this web page available. Now this particular one is this is straightforward enough to read as it is. But if I click on this top left little icon, you can see now what it's done to the page. So again, now that's selected, if I look at the right hand side, there's 2 A's. If I select those, I can make the text just a little bit bigger or smaller. So I think what we have there now is probably the perfect size. And even it just makes it much more easier for individuals and specifically students to read back. So if I keep my finger on it, and if I pull and drag, let's take the first 2 paragraphs, and I just want to get those spoken back, you'll see now there's a copy or a speak option has appeared.
The Irish Times. The Irish Times is an Irish daily broadsheet newspaper launched on the 29th of March 1850.
Okay, so very easy for students to get some information read back. And I think those 3 apps that we've kind of looked at, so they being those kind of simple built-in solutions, the speakback, the voice recognition, the Easy Reader, and those aligned with something like ScanPen and SnapType apps are really going to make a difference for students. So I'm just going to close that down, and I'll come back to you. Okay. So that's some of the simpler pieces that we're going to look at. I just want to have a look at the feedback that we got just to see if there's anything else. Okay, there doesn't seem to be anything else that kind of came up to in terms of the feedback. Is there anything from the participants that we have in the room that, if you have any questions, do you want to pop them into the chat and I can have a quick look at them? And if not, we'll finish up here pretty shortly because I don't want to be keeping people any longer. But what I will do is to kind of supplement this session, I will have it recorded, obviously. I will follow up with some notes and kind of just send people out a few links and a few things just to get them thinking over the next few weeks. I know we're coming in to the Christmas season. The perfect chance for you, I'm sure, to do a little bit of reflective research on some assistive technology and something that you might use come January. And there's always new things happening. What I'm going to try and do is just to work with Colleen and NBSS and just send a few things along in the next week or 2, and just to get you thinking, and just to see how, I guess, we can make the classroom a little bit more inclusive for all learners. And it really is about reaching all learners and just tapping into, not the technology is going to be this, it could well be part, it could be well part of their tool framework, toolkit going forward, just to empower them a little bit more. So hopefully you've got something from this session. As you can see in my room here, I need to turn on the light, so give me 2 seconds. So that's a little bit better. Okay, so if there are not any more questions that you'd like me to field in this session, I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. I'd like to thank you very much for those of you that have attended. I'd like to thank those of you who have come on just even to watch this video. I'd like to thank you for your time and taking 36 minutes to listen through to some of my ramblings. Thank you very much. I wish you a happy Christmas, even though it's a little bit early, I think, is it? Anyway, happy Christmas. I hope everything goes well. And if you've got any questions or queries, just give me a quick email. We're on info@urability.com, or just pick up the phone. It's 700-5966, and I'm sure we can help you out. All right, thanks, Melon. All the best.